So Taylor, where are you originally from, and can you share an early musical memory from your upbringing?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm from Niagara region. I'm from St. Catharines, Ontario, which is like an old industrial city in Niagara, right near Niagara Falls. Um, and my one of I always say, I think I remember the first time I ever acknowledged music or like heard a song was the song by Nine Inch Nails, Head Like a Hole, if you know it. Um, it's a pretty weird song, and I was like in my basement, and I remember my uncle saying like, "Oh, I love this song," and I was like, "What's the song?" And it was that song, and I always think of that whenever I hear that song now, which is kind of rare, but it's a really creepy song for it to be the first song you think you've ever heard when you were like 4 years old.
It, it was called Hole in what?
Head Like a Hole. It's like bow down before the one you serve. It's hard to explain.
And that's like earlier Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, I think so. It must be like I don't think it was a new song when I was hearing it like that, but like maybe it's like an 80s Nine Inch Nails song. I'm not really sure. But this would have been like late 90s. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're saying like your consciousness of music, you can kind of go back to that one, like
Yeah.
you're already oh being self-aware, like oh this is what music is.
Well, that was just the first time I understood what like the idea of like a band singing a song was. But to answer your question without like such an annoying anecdote, my dad is a musician, just an amateur musician. He plays guitar, and so my first memories were just trying to sing along with my dad playing like old '60s Bob Dylan, the band on acoustic, and me trying to keep up.
Do you remember the first concert you ever attended?
Yeah, like the first big concert I ever. So I went to a few concerts growing up, like on like Canada Day. I saw like a cover band do Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon when I was in like grade three at some like Canada Day thing or something. That was pretty crazy. But the first concert I ever went to, I think I was in about grade six, and it was Arctic Monkeys opening up for Oasis in Toronto. Um, yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing at the time for my grade six brain. It was the first Arctic Monkeys show. Like I think it was like the first Arctic Monkeys album, and I was really into it. And I really liked Oasis too, but Oasis was in their like later stages, so I wasn't as like hyped on them. But Arctic Monkeys, yeah.
Is that the that one album? It's like the side of a building or something with like the lights
It
on.
it's like a guy smoking a cigarette on the cover, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when did you first get like an interest to start playing music yourself?
Yeah, like I kind of was like many kids, I was kind of pushed towards playing piano and guitar, but I wasn't really into it. It's kind of like a chore at the start. And then I sort of something clicked when I was like around that same age, like 11, 12, 13, and I borrowed a guitar from my dad and I just started learning like open chords. Like he taught me like a four chord progression, and I was kind of into it there, but then I really got hooked on it when I was in grade eight. So I would have been 14. And I bought or maybe I didn't even buy it. I just found it. My mom used to work in IT, and she had one of those old computer microphones, like back when you had like the camera and the mic, like the little thin mic that would like sit on the desk. And I started using that to record music in my room, like onto Audacity, this like most like rudimentary DAW that you can have. And it was super like messed up sounding. It was like super clippy and like sounded crazy, but I really loved recording and like making like writing a song like as you record it kind of thing. And I still have a couple of those original demos. In fact, I have a lot of them. And they sound really bad, but they're very close to my heart.
I was thinking about this earlier, and can can ask the question now, I guess. but what's a song that you're this is kind of like the equivalent of asking parent like, oh, who's your favorite kid? Like, what's a song that you're super proud of? And I was thinking about this because I'm a musician too, and that's difficult because even my like my younger youth songs, like the cringy ones, like I'm proud of
Yeah.
them because at least I was trying.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like when you have less available, like less equipment and like less know-how available, like it makes the song that much sweeter that you still like manage to face the adversity of trying to record a song when you don't know how and like managing to do it still.
Yep.
Um, is there an old song like that? Is that what you mean?
Or just through your whole time as a musician, what's one that stands out without thinking too hard, where you're like, wow, I'm like proud of that one. Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think like my favorite Nutrients song changes throughout time, and like it feels like every album I kind of get a new favorite song, and then I'm maybe like more nostalgic about an older song. But there's a song called Hyperbole but on our self-titled album, like our first album, and it's a song that I'm very like Nutrients was at one point just like really like two guitars, bass, and drums and vocals. And I really liked that era of Nutrients. But this song Hyperbole like sort of pushed us in this direction of like, wait a second, we can use like whatever instrument is in this studio. We can make this whatever kind of song we want. And so we fully put everything that was on guitar onto piano. And then we took the what would have been chords on an electric, put them on acoustic, and it sort of like opened our minds to this whole world of like having a lot more fun when we're recording. And so yeah, that song, I really like that song. It's also like I just like the song too. I think I like the lyrics, you know. Sometimes the lyrics they're not that meaningful, but I feel like I like that one.
right on. Okay. And so it's funny because when I first heard about you guys, um, the first few songs that I was listening to, I was like, "Whoa, this sounds like a more upbeat version of Lounge FM." And then
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
as I started, going down the rabbit hole and reading up on you guys, I saw that you guys uh, got produced by one of the by the drummer, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's funny because we I was a Lounge FM fan too, and then uh I we were looking for people to mix that album, like just we're kind of messaging people who had mixed albums that we like, and I messaged Lounge FM and they're like, oh, our drummer produced it and mixed it, but he can give you a mix, and he lived in Winnipeg and we live in Toronto, and then we ended up choosing him and he mixed our whole album, and then they went on a tour and we got to meet him like in person in Toronto, which was fun. But he mixed our album without us ever like knowing him personally in any way. We would just like email back and forth, which was really cool. And it's all just because I found that Lounge FM album too, and I really loved it.
That's sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's because of like the chill vocal style you have, and then plus the instrumentation. It just I literally had that thought, and then just finding that you guys are connected to, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's very random. That album is like a great example of just kind of like picking a sound and just like doing the sound, like really diving into that one specific sound and doing it really well. I love that album.
And I was also reading up that I think you had originally started this like as a solo home recording project.
Yeah, yeah. I went to university in Montreal and I was in like a kind of like a garage rock, just whatever kind of garage rock band. We play at parties and bars and stuff. And then I started Nutrients. I used to work at this frozen yogurt store. And weirdly enough, it stayed open until like midnight or 1 a.m. in the summer. And I would always just be like really like awake after work. So I'd go down to our studio that we used to practice at, and no one would be there because it was like 1 in the morning on a weeknight. And I started recording these songs that would eventually become Nutrients. And it's kind of like it was a solo project, but then the second I showed it to my friend that I was at school with back then, he was really into it and he became part of the project. And then we moved to Toronto actually, and we recorded our first like regular full release. This release called "What Tangled Webs We Weave," which is like just like a 7 or 8 song kind of EP. And so it's just he and I, we had to kind of navigate the scene and find people to be in our band, and that was really tough because Toronto is like a it's a pretty big city. There's a lot going on in terms of music, and like it was hard to find the right people. But we found some great bandmates, and then he moved away actually to go to school in New York City, and but he left me with some great bandmates, and those same band members, except for one, have been in the band ever since then. That was like 6 years ago or something, 5 years ago.
Oh, so this was I think I saw you guys started maybe around 2016, 2017.
Yeah, yeah, like that would have been when we like started, and then but we the band that it is now more started in about 2018, 2019, I would say.
Gotcha.
Because that's when we moved to Toronto in 20 like yeah, like 2017 maybe around then. Yeah, hard to remember.
And as I uh as I was writing my notes, I saw that Drag On was the first like release that y'all did as Nutrients.
Yeah, that would have been a solo release by me.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's a crazy sounding collection of songs. So I feel like we're very distant from it now, but all the while, kind of, I still kind of like it, and I think it's like very interesting piece. That I would say like that EP reminds me the most of these songs I was making in my room when I was in like grade 7 and 8. Uh, Kind of went back to basics on that one.
and I was looking at the title. I was like, "Yo, that says dragon."
That's cool. I've never actually thought about that. I've always thought of it as like a drag on. In the lyrics, it's meant to be like a play on like the party is dragging on, but you drag on a cigarette. But then you're right. I should have also added the third aspect of dragon, something about dragons.
So you were recording those songs in around 2015.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That was when I was finishing like my undergrad. Yeah.
um, and I saw on Bandcamp it was recorded at a I want to say it's a venue called Psychic City.
Yeah, yeah, we had this like my old band, we shared this space. I don't know if you know Montreal, but it's like right in the club area, right on Saint Laurent. And it was like below this like workout studio, which meant
Mhm.
we could make as much noise as we wanted because it was like one of these like CrossFit, like throw crap everywhere, make really loud banging noises and all that stuff. So like we could get away with practicing all day. And then we would have parties there. And then at night, like late at night, whenever I went, no one was around. So I could just focus on my own music. And I had my 8 track. I have like a digital 8 track that I still use. And I had some mics. And that was kind of my first experience like recording something that I thought sounded like kind of good. Um, and then yeah, that's kind of where I got the confidence to like um continue Nutrients as like not like more than just like this one song EP or sorry, this one EP kind of recording, and kind of like I made it a goal to like keep doing it when I moved. So I wanted to move to Toronto to start fresh, kind of some of my family lives here and stuff. So I wanted to move, and then I was like, oh, I could just keep doing Nutrients in Toronto because Montreal and Toronto have like this huge exchange of people. So you've always like it's always easy to like find some people to be in your band, but it's not always easy to find people who you like really are vibing with being in your band or like are playing the right like genre that you want to do and stuff. So it was great that I found good band members.
Oh, and so do the rest of the members also live in Toronto area?
Yeah, yeah. Everyone in the band is from like Toronto or near Toronto, I would say. Like my hometown is only 2 hours south, and then everyone else is from the city, basically, actually. So I'm the only fake Toronto person.
And you brought it up a little bit ago, the what tangled webs we weave.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to ask, like, was that title like a nod to Walter Scott?
Uh, no. Is that, wait, who? I don't know. I didn't make it up, but I just thought it was a cool phrase. I have a childhood friend who always says this phrase, but I don't know why he says it or where he got it from.
It's because I googled it, and then the first result was like a, I guess like a poem from that
Yes.
guy, and
Yeah.
it said, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive." I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, that's bars."
No, he always he just growing up and throughout our like since he's always just he says it whenever there's like a complicated situation, especially like socially or like uh yeah, and I just it's one of those stupid things that he says, and I thought that would be a funny album title.
And that one, it's I want to say it's like my intro to you guys. I think I heard Industry Alex, and I was like, "Oh, this is real catchy stuff." Um, do you have like a memory you can share from that time period?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my like top fondest memories of the Nutrients story is that summer that my friend, his name's Malcolm, he and I moved here from Montreal, and to write that album, we're both kind of like classical guitar. Like I'm not a classical guitarist, but I really like playing a classical guitar to write music and kind of jam around. And so is he. So we would pack up our classical guitars and some drinks and go to mostly this one park called Trinity Bellwoods, which is just like kind of like a lively, fun park at night. A bunch of people are there doing all kinds of stuff, but we'd go to all kinds of parks and we would just jangle around on our acoustics and I would try to come up with words. And we basically wrote the entire thing like in this park, like after work, that one summer. Like we wrote it and recorded it in one summer, which was really cool because at this point it takes us way too long to be happy with like the stuff we're recording in that summer. We just like wrote it in like May, started recording in June, finished it off in July, got it mixed in August, put it out. I think even we probably put it out in September or October, actually. I'm not sure what the release date is, but so yeah, we wrote that one completely in a park on classical guitars.
I see here is released late September
Yeah,
of 2016.
exactly. Perfect. Yeah. I remember it well.
No, but that's awesome. Like writing it in a park and then just within a couple months, just seeing it come to fruition. It must
Yeah,
be.
oh yeah, it was really fun. And we recorded it all on this 8 track. Uh so like that entire album just has like one reverb. It has we didn't EQ almost anything. Like it's just like straight up recorded into an 8 track and that's what it is. Like it's like so bare bones, which is funny in hindsight.
And I saw you guys use like aliases of like fruits, like young mango.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, that was his nickname for some reason. He's from South America. He's from Chile. And fun fact, probably the most fun fact about that album is that we couldn't find anyone to be our drummer. We tried. We even like met a guy in the park that summer who we tried out, but he was kind of a weird guy. We tried out another guy we got through a mutual friend who just like he wasn't very good at drums. That was fine. I think he joined up in the band in another way. And then Malcolm was like, well, we can't find a drummer. We need a drummer for our album. His dad is actually like a Latin percussionist from Chile. And so our drummer on that album is like a 50-year-old Latin percussionist dad of the one of the members of the band. And we sent it to him and he just recorded it and sent it back like literally like 2 days later. And we were like, okay, that's great. So that's one thing that wasn't recorded on the 8 track is Malcolm's dad's drums. I remember being like, oh, the tone, like the way the drums are tuned and stuff is really not what I'm used to. But I was like, okay. And then that sort of led to like Malcolm is he's from Chile, but he moved to Canada when he was like 14 or something. And so he kind of even still has that Latin jazz genre in the back of his head, but his dad even more so, obviously, as a Latin percussionist. And it sort of it is what led us to become a little more like um, funky and like in the two releases after that, there's some Latin percussion, there's some funkiness going on in the chords and stuff like that, and that's how that all started, I would say.
Feeling Fawn, I believe was like the next release
Yeah,
after
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah,
So that
yeah,
one I see was recorded like in 2017, came out late 2017, and was that was that like the first one you guys were also releasing music videos for?
yeah, yeah. For that one's kind of was a transitionary thing because a bunch of the songs we recorded on that one, we we kind of recorded that one and then we kind of regretted recording it because we weren't recording it in a way that like we were super proud of. And so we held on to a bunch of the songs that were meant to be on that, and those ended up being on the self-titled album, which was recorded more like with more care, or like we tried harder.
Mm.
But on the Feeling Fond release, yeah, we made a music video. It kind of shows actually where we recorded the What Tangled Webs We Weave and the Feeling Fond releases, which was just this like little front room of a house that I was renting with a bunch of other people um, back then. And we had this one room we kind of just took over that was like a little tiny nook off the living room. Yeah, and then that video for this one song So Long was like the first video we released. And that song is kind of also the first like funkier song that we ever wrote as well. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I like that video. In the end, it gets like all trippy with the kaleidoscope
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, I used to live at that house. I lived with a visual artist who it's great to live with an artist because you can get a music video out of them.
Um, yes, I was on that video so long, and I was seeing some comments. People were putting that they heard so long in like an H&M. So, and then people were just like replying like, "Oh, me too, me too." It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, we never saw any money for that, but we wanted to. I thought we would. I don't know. I thought they would like send us a check or something. But I that song got Shazammed like 300 times in 1 week, and we were like, "Oh, it's really getting played in H&M." And then we never saw a cent. But I
whoa.
don't know if you're meant to see a cent from that, so I'm not sure. I don't care.
It was probably just like an indie rocker employee with the aux cord and
Oh
thought,
yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
uh, H&M, if you watch this, pay this man.
Thank you. Thanks for advocating for us.
And um, the couple months later, I saw that you guys dropped the self-titled album via Earth Libraries,
Mhm.
and that's an awesome label. I checked out some other artists on there, and they're just they have a great roster.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering how did that come about, like getting released by them.
Yeah, we got in touch. I think we were just sending our uh our unreleased album out to a bunch of different labels, like kind of more hoping to like with the goal of getting signed or picked up by like probably a Toronto label or at least like a Canadian label. And then this kind of random label reached out from the US. Uh, and I say random, they were random back then to me. Now I'm like, I love them. But and I had a call with the head of the label, this guy named Bryant, and he basically was just like, "Yeah, we'll help you out. We'll put it out on vinyl. Sounds good." Uh, and we, yeah, it was an amazing experience. Like getting all the boxes of vinyl delivered was a very like sort of like a highlight. Like I didn't realize that it would be really cool to get this like box of vinyl delivered to my door that we were gonna sell. That was our album. But yeah, that was fun. And then we ended up like I never met him actually in person until we ended up going to visit. We played a festival that is he's from Alabama, but he lives in Boise, Idaho. And we played this festival in Boise, Idaho called Tree Fort Festival. And we got to meet him and chill with him that whole week, and it was amazing. And uh, yeah, shout out to Brian and his partner Bree. They run the label. They're like extremely DIY independent. Love them.
I was gonna ask earlier. Um, I know you had mentioned that you were like in another garage rock band before this, but do you remember how old you were when you first performed on stage?
Yeah, I was in a band like in high school, like, and we played just like covers. Like we played like the Beatles and like high school kid covers. And so the first time I ever performed, I think I was probably in probably grade 9, so like 15, 16, maybe grade 10. And my hometown has this parade or this sort of weekend. Like my hometown is produces a lot of wine. It's called the Grape and Wine Festival, and we played this like alleyway, some kind of like I don't know why we played, these kind of weird shows you play when you're a kid. And we played like 7 or 8 songs, and it was like the Beatles. Maybe we played like a Rolling Stones song. Uh, I don't think we played anything like actually of the time. I don't know why we were so obsessed with like 60s music. I think it was just kind of like seemed like easier to play. And that was the first time uh I ever played. And it was just like it wasn't even on like a stage. It was just like on like a driveway of like a business or something, like a
Yeah.
community festival kind of vibe. But I
But that
was
was
nervous.
your first
Yeah.
performance ever?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. 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 In front of more than my uh in front of more than 2 people, yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, that I think that was the same age as that I did too. I think it was um like the end of ninth grade. Like
Yeah.
I might even say it was probably like the last day of ninth grade. And I remember um I had a cool English teacher, one of those that like it's not that much older, maybe like in his 20s,
Yeah,
teacher
yeah.
is like gym teacher slash English, So
Yeah.
he was I asked him, you want to come check out my crappy band later? We're doing our first show. It just as a joke. I didn't think he'd go, and I see him there with a beer. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I love that. That's the same thing with me. Like we had this one teacher and he was yeah, like he was like 25, but he was in his own band kind of, right? But he just was like, "Yeah, I'll come see your show at this parade thing." And it felt really cool that he was that like a guy that like an adult that wasn't my parent was there to see our band as if I pretended to myself that he was there because we were good at music or something, but I'm sure you were in the same boat.
You guys released the self-titled album around 2019, towards the end of 2019, and I guess before that you released a couple singles accompanied with the music videos too. I saw like uh, "Forget About Us," I think was one of them.
Yeah, one of
Uh,
the music, the video that we the most like elaborate one was this one called Such Slime. Um, the as far as videos go, that was probably our most elaborate video that we've tried to make in general, which was really fun.
yes, and for hide and seek as well, I think I
Oh
saw.
yeah, that one too. Those are kind of yeah, those are kind of same director, same like couple months. Yeah, good times.
Uh, and so yeah, that's the one that you mentioned. It was mixed by Lounge FM's drummer.
Yeah, Adam Pauls, yeah. Yeah, what a legend. Um, yeah, we actually ended up, like I said, we met up with him too. We met him in person, and then we also met him. Do you live in Winnipeg?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Oh,
like I'm in Texas actually, South Texas.
oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were Canadian because of I kind of was wondering about your accent a little bit. I was kind of like, this guy doesn't sound that much like he's from Winnipeg. But no, sorry. I thought that because earlier when you were talking about Lounge FM, I was like, oh, maybe he is from Winnipeg. But so we met Adam also at this festival outside of Winnipeg that he like volunteers at, I guess, which was really cool too. Like this really cool festival called Rainbow Trout Festival, which is like a camping festival, like a big stage camping festival. It was awesome.
Also, that's where you guys met each other at?
That's where we met each other in person the first time, yeah. But it's kind of this theme with our band is that like we know people online and then we meet them in person like years later, and it's kind of weird because they know our music so well and we're just like we don't know each other at all though.
Right. But just yeah, through music you form the connection and the bond.
Yeah.
Uh and I was also right now when you mentioned that you played a show in Illinois or which state did you say?
Oh, Idaho.
Idaho. Yeah, I knew it was
Yeah.
with an I. Did you guys tour in the States at all?
It's funny because that tour was like really set up to be this, uh, we had our first kind of US tour. Like it was like from Toronto to, actually, no, this was from Toronto to this festival in Winnipeg. And because of how far south Toronto is compared to the rest of Canada to the west, we were planning on driving all through the US, Chicago, Detroit, like Minneapolis, that region. And then COVID happened. And so that whole tour got canceled. And then by the time that festival got announced again for that next summer, the US visa process just went crazy for bands to get from Canada to the US. Like it's so much more expensive now. So it's become really hard for us to do any proper touring. So now we just kind of do one-off shows in the US, like in New York, and then drive back uh, without getting a proper visa because it's expensive. It's like $2,000 or $3,000 kind of thing. So it's tough to be making some money on your tour if you have to drop like $3,000 up front.
Yeah. Damn, that sucks. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're rounding up here on our time. I'm trying to think like
Yeah, no,
which
I feel like I know what you mean by I we could definitely continue this talk because I 45 minutes sounds like a long time, but I see what you mean about how time flies when you're having fun.
yeah, man, for sure. And thanks again for agreeing for this agreeing to this.
Oh, no problem. I love talking about music in general if and to talk about my own music. I feel very uh self I feel very conceited when I talk about my own music, but I also it's a good time.
You you're it's like you kind of you kind of read my mind. Like sometimes when I talk about my stuff, I feel like, dude, you're yapping. Like they don't.
Yeah, I want
But
to check out your what's your music called? I want to check it out before our next talk.
um, I'll send you the link. It's just the same as my Insta, Hotboxing the Void. I just have a Bandcamp.
Oh, cool.
Hot,
Okay.
are you a hip hop fan?
Not really. Can't, no, not really. Not really. I wish. I always want to fill in any gap in my music. Like there's genres. Like I tried to get into country recently, but I just couldn't really. I don't know. I tried. I'm trying. It's an active process. Do you have any recommendations for me?
For hip hop?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, have have you heard of ASAP Rocky?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, have you heard of the band Good Morning?
Oh yeah, I love Good Morning.
I love Good Morning. ASAP sampled one of their songs.
Oh, cool. Which
Uh,
song?
I, I'm blanking on the
Oh yeah,
song,
I'll check it out.
but yeah, I'll send you a link. And the reason um I'm asking about ASAP and the hip hop question is because he has a song called Purple Swag,
Oh, nice.
and the hook for it is everything is purple, everything is purple. So that's what hide and seek was reminding me of the video. I was like,
Yeah,
everything's purple.
yeah, yeah. I don't know how we got that idea, but I love that video. It's pretty funny. It's that video, like the video for Such Slime was like really well prepared, and then the that video for Hide and Seek is like we kind of made up. We bought everything, but then we made it all up that night, like in this garage. Um, I'm excited. The guy who made those two videos, his name is Isaac Roberts, and he just made a video for this artist that is blowing up from our like local scene called Luna Lee. Um, and that video came out yesterday, and so like it's not as weird or crazy as like that kind of video, but it's just a really good video, and I'm really happy for him because he's sort of like uh taken his video skills to a next level with it. It's really cool.
And I think another reason why I had the itch to ask you about hip hop is the the last song you guys put out, or the latest one,
Yeah.
uh, for Come Along. I noticed the little like karaoke lyrics, and I Googled it because I
Yeah.
was like, that sounds familiar, and it was like Akon song.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering if anyone would Google the lyrics. Yeah, it's just like from a night we were doing karaoke and somebody was singing an Akon song. I thought it was a very iconic album cover.
But yeah, just decided to change my shirt mid-interview for this.
It's cool. I like it. Nice shirt.
No, I gotta say, like, we did have to come back to this interview at a later time, and I just wanted to say, wow, man, the world really is a crazy place. I feel like a lot has happened in just like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you guys with the crazy weather over there, and then
Yeah.
a world leader almost getting deleted, and just crazy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy times. I mean, the floods in Toronto are nothing compared to the US election turmoil. That was only a 1 day thing for us, but my power did go out for a long time, so that was kind of annoying. So thanks for rescheduling like that.
Yeah, man. At least you weren't making light of it like Drake was. I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw
well,
that.
yeah, well, his house, like my house, I didn't have any like it didn't really impact me other than my power going out. I think a lot of people had a lot more going on. Like a lot of people's like basements were flooding and stuff, which it's not supposed to happen a lot. We're not supposed to get natural disasters here. Like that's a big thing people talk about, but so when it rains a lot, it's like our big thing. Uh, or sometimes it snows a lot, but not even that much. So we're fine. I shouldn't complain. In
Yeah, I
Texas,
was gonna.
you got some like tornadoes. Got didn't it get like really cold one time a couple years ago or something?
Yeah, I was actually I had an interview yesterday as well. A guy that's from Philly, and well, Philly and Toronto, I'm guessing too, gets like a lot of snow.
Yeah.
And I was telling him how like it's it's maybe happened 3 or 4 times in my 30 years on this earth that I've seen snow here in Texas, which is wild
Yeah.
because where I'm living is close to the Mexican border, and
Yeah.
it's just like a scorcher here all the time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
we were gonna get like a tornado hit us. Luckily, we didn't. And lately, though, it's just been a bunch of tease with like rainy clouds. It like rains for 5 minutes and then just goes away. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, we get a lot of thunderstorms here in the summer, so it's always a good relief, except for that one day last week. But, or 2 weeks ago or something. Anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah, so the last time we spoke, since the last time we spoke, I listened to that Nine Inch Nails song you mentioned,
Okay.
and I was familiar with it. I've heard that song before, but
Yeah.
I'm horrible with song titles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
I
recognize the hook where it's like you're gonna get what you deserve. I
yeah,
recognize that.
it's a scary song.
And I'm just like I've heard it like in a movie or like a TV show or somewhere, but I yeah, just
Yeah,
recognize it.
it's like the type of song that could be in like a scary video game, like a Doom or like a I'm just thinking like that era, like like early 90s, like well, I don't know any video games from then, but I think Doom is from then. Yeah. Yeah, it's a scary song.
And I really like some Nine Inch Nails stuff, but um I saw this video pop on my feed the other day where like it's Trent playing by himself and before he starts playing on this like it looked like a little MIDI thing. Um he's like are we gonna have a good time or whatever? And he's kind of like poking fun at I guess whoever was on before him. He's like, you know what? That's for the other guy. We're here to have a bad time. And it was just like this is like corny.
Yeah, he seems like a weird guy. I don't, yeah. I'm not like a fan. I just know, like I'm a fan. Like I'm happy to listen to Nine Inch Nails, but I've never like put on an album and really dug into it. So I should someday. Maybe that album specifically. I don't know what it's called.
And I also remember one time I was into thrifting and there was this shop that had like a really cool kind of like a promo thing going on where it's like they call it fill a bag for $10. You grab a bag and you fill as much as you can from like bins. And then I'm digging through the bins and I find a Nine Inch Nails shirt, and so I kind of like left it there because I'm not a diehard, obviously.
Yeah.
But then I found a Slayer shirt, and that one I was like, okay, I want this one. And a girl came to and she snagged the Nine Inch Nails shirt. And I was like, damn it, I should have like
Yeah.
held on to it. But we had like this what do you call it? Like that Mexican standoff thing,
Okay.
like she wanted the Slayer shirt and I wanted that one. But I was like, nah, like I ended up just keeping the Slayer shirt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those, yeah, I've seen a couple Slayers. I've seen some Nine Inch Nails. I think you'll maybe in your life you might run into one of those again, uh, at that kind of
But
store.
what struck me and what made me want it specifically was it was like an old tour shirt, but the font was like all gold. And that
Oh,
one was
cool.
I was like, okay, you know, I'll
Yeah,
be a poser Nine Inch Nails fan.
tour shirts are awesome. If Nutrients ever went on a long enough tour to warrant like to fill up the back of a shirt, I would love to print out a tour shirt, like a 20, if anything longer than like 15 dates, I think can warrant a tour shirt.
Have you guys ever released shirts before?
Yeah, yeah, we have some shirts. We have released two shirts before. Uh, And yeah, I think we're out of, well, we're not out of the second one actually. We have a couple left if you want one. I can send one to you.
I was also reading your bio on Spotify, and it led me to one of your interviews, and I was reading it, and I was like, damn it, this person kind of like she beat me to this question I had set up here, but it's funny because your answer is tied into this question. I have here, besides the pandemic, what's been your most challenging obstacle in your music career so far? And what did you do to overcome it?
Wait, this is I've answered this question before? Damn. Yeah.
So when they asked you that, the only answer was the pandemic.
Yeah, no, I can't. I'm not gonna lie. We've had a pretty like easy time. I would say like um yeah, like now thus far looking back, like the pandemic just really sucked. I think I probably said that back then because we had this big tour booked and like we were about to release an album and like obviously live music died. Like especially here, like we had really serious lockdowns or kind of like restrictions where we live here in Ontario. And so live music didn't happen for like an entire year and a half here. But
Oh,
you know, like for better or for worse. Um yeah, the hardest the most like adversity we've faced. I think like um I always find it really challenging to like record and be happy with the things that we record. So like I could almost say that about like any album um that we're working on. Like it's always just like super hard when you're finished recording and you keep on wanting to go back and like re-record stuff or like you hate this one part of a song and like it's the type of stuff where like the listener doesn't even hear the stuff that you hear at that point because you've heard the song like 5,000 times. Um, so like on a personal level, I think that that's like my like constant struggle is just like hating my own music, some of it for brief periods, and like a couple years later you listen back and you're like, oh, it's pretty good. But like you that's like my hardest thing. Like always wanting to redo everything, wanting to fix it and post and all this stuff like that. Like second guessing everything is my hardest like psych struggle. But yeah, we haven't faced a lot of like actual hardships. I think like one like specific hardship possibly was we got kicked out of our rehearsal space that was free. And rehearsal space here is really expensive. And like rent is insanely expensive here. So like it's just really hard to find a good place to practice. And none of us or most of us don't drive. So like or we don't have cars, we can drive, but like we don't have cars. So like getting finding a rehearsal space is hard when you combine like super high rent and then like having to rely on public transit or your bike or walking. So that's probably we just like our friend lost his apartment and then we didn't have a place to practice and that was really hard to recover from. But we figured it out. So it's actually I'm probably exaggerating how difficult that was.
nah, you're rolling with the punches though.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks because uh when when you're a creator, an artist, it's like you're with that curse already. Like the worst critic is yourself. And like you said, from the inside, you're the one that observes like those moments where you're unsatisfied, and like you said, like the listener can probably skim by them on any occasion without noticing, but you'll be like, oh man, like wanna redo that part, or I can do better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough sometimes, but thus is yeah, it's life. It's kind of like it's kind of yeah, it's impossible to avoid. I don't think probably like I'm gonna guess like 95% of musicians would say the same thing. So it'd be cool to be one of those 5% of people that's just like happy about everything they record. They're like, yeah, that's good stuff. But I don't know.
I wonder why that is though. I wonder because I mean I'm guilty of it too. Like when I re-listen to an old recording, I'm like, yo, why didn't I touch more on that, or why didn't I clean that up? And uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's tough.
I think I think if you're just passionate about it and you're content with how it feels, that's what pushes you to releasing it. Just being like, okay, well, I did do my best here.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah. Like you can sit on stuff. I would say like the songs that we're currently recording are songs that we have like worked on the longest, but also just sort of sat on them for a long enough time that like when they have this newest song that came out, it's been kicking around for so long that like I don't regret much or almost anything about it. But that's what you get when you take like we've been working on these songs now for like a year plus. So, we used to record some of this music in like a month after writing it and then release it like 2 months after recording it. And you don't have much chance to go back at that point and like fix stuff. Whereas these songs, like we're sitting with them probably for too long, but it's kind of an interesting experiment because like it's showing me that like if you don't listen to something for a couple of months and then you go back, you have a really clear sense of like what you like and what you don't like. And that'll probably remain the same for a while. Um, but who knows how I'll feel about these songs in 5 years. So I don't know.
And yeah, with your latest single that y'all put out, I did notice there is kind of like um a somewhat difference in sound. I want to say you guys included acoustic in that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds more like front and center than I'm not sure if there's other recordings that y'all have with acoustic.
just a couple like yeah, like minor. This one has it really like as one of the main instruments. Um, these songs are like we record them in my apartment. We've kind of gone, we had a couple like studio moments and then now we're just back in our in my apartment and um we just like sit around in this room and we have a bunch of gear and equipment and instruments in there and we just kind of like add stuff here and there. I don't know. It's like it takes so long because we're being perfectionists, but it also is yielding some cool results because we're incorporating sounds that we haven't before, just because it's like we're not like planning in advance, going to a studio for a weekend, recording everything, and then being like, okay, that's it. Like we keep on returning to these songs after sitting with them and adding like that acoustic on that song, even though it kind of is the main one of the main parts now, it was only added like way late in the process, which is what this kind of method affords you. I would say like just really taking your time on songs, which we haven't done almost ever. So yeah.
So with these new songs, would you say um some of the early songs or demos date back to maybe a year or so ago?
Oh yeah, like the actual songs even date back about 2, 3 years ago now. Because well, we have a bit of a lag where like we're recording songs now that have existed for like a couple years, but then our next release like is already sort of done in terms of writing, but we're like behind in recording, like some bands are like we're done our album, we need to write new songs, whereas like we're just like excited to get past recording these because we're really excited about our newest songs that haven't even been record or they haven't even been like we play them live and like we're really happy with them, but like we don't there's no like we haven't started recording them because we want to finish this current project, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, like dozens of songs that are ready to uh be shared. And I was thinking about this. It's pretty dumb, but it's like your songs, they're so catchy, and they're easy listens. It's like one would even say like, man, your music is nutritious.
Yeah, I that's very kind of you. Thank you.
And I also did notice something in different bridges. In
Okay.
different bridges, I noticed track three was nauseous, and then track nine was nausea, which is an instrumental, but it features the hook from nauseous. And I was
Yeah.
just curious, like, was this dude like feeling queasy when he made these songs, or what was going on?
No, yeah, that song, the original one is not nauseous, the like real song with the vocals and stuff, just like has the word nauseous in the hook, like it's like one of the lyrics. But then nausea actually, if you play nausea, that song at the start of nauseous, like it is just the same song.
Oh, okay.
But we were actually going to release like an 8-minute version that's just both of them together. but we thought it would be better to release them separately like that as like a fun thing. But yeah, we that was like actually nausea is the way that we developed our new method of just sitting in this room for hours and hours and weeks and years and just doing essentially nothing, but every now and then adding like a random acoustic guitar to a song or something. Because Nausea, the instrumental 2 minute version of Nauseous, was that same process of just sitting in that room, adding little like cowbells, adding triangle. What else is on there? Uh, we brought in the sax hook. Uh, yeah. So just like very like using stuff that we recorded live, but like really getting into the copy paste edit on your laptop world, which was pretty fun. That was a good night. I remember it quite well. Nausea.
As you're describing this, yeah, I was like, I don't know if this could be a correct comparison, but it kind of reminds me of like David Byrne solo
Okay,
stuff.
cool. I don't know, like I love Talking Heads, but I don't know a lot of David Byrne solo.
Neither do I, but like the whole the combination of different instruments. That's what I do know he incorporates in like
Mhm.
his live stuff. Um, and yeah, it just sounds kind of I don't even know the correct term or genre for it. I guess like earthy or worldly music, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, we actually had on, like I was telling you last time about my friend's dad, who is from uh Chile, and he played drums on that first album, and we sort of got this like feel for Latin percussion that we started incorporating. And on that Different Bridges album, we met a guy who is from Colombia, who is a Latin percussionist, and he came over and laid down a bunch of like he just like for 2 hours played like all kinds of stuff that we gave him to play, and then he left, and then we just like chopped it all up and used it on everything on that album, just like uh not on every song, but like on a lot of the songs, we just sort of like we're like, hey, how about congas here? And yeah, it was a great investment of those 2 hours.
He gave you like a good variety of different percussion sounds.
Yeah, we just had him play a bunch of random stuff like on different songs that were going to be on the album, and then we just like chopped it up later.
Awesome. I think the main reason I vibe to you guys is because I'm a sucker for like upbeat music, but with like mature undertones. Um, it kind of makes it like playful, serious in a way, and some standout lyrics that I can use, for example, like "Days are colder and you feel doomed." I could loathe you so long, like lyrics like that. It kind of reminds me of like the Smiths, where the music is so like up, but the when you pay attention to the lyrics, it's like whoa.
Yeah, I've always liked that. Yeah. I used to be a big when I was a kid, I used to be a big fan of Blur and Oasis and like all those British like Britpop bands. Mostly like Blur was my probably my favorite, but Blur has a lot of cool like it's the happiest song you've ever heard, but it's like the darkest lyric randomly. Uh so I think that really stuck with me. But I also like I've definitely like I'm a, like I like do like that kind of stuff also. So I'm not, yeah, I'm I'm uh I'm not surprised it like seeped into my songwriting.
And it's I find it like like I said, playful but also sly because you're making people dance, I'm sure, and then it's like you're singing these kind of like I wouldn't say dark, but just kind of like yeah, mature lyrics.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I wasn't always like I don't think I'm a great lyricist. Maybe I'll improve, but like I used to be I feel like I used to be really bad. And so I'm happy that you enjoy the lyrics because uh, I think I've gotten a little better at that part of it. Because I used to just kind of say like random stuff, but then I kind of got into writing lyrics a little more. I also like really now I really like writing lyrics like right when the song is finished because it's like it it feels right to write the lyrics like when you're writing the song instead of like sort of like singing stand-in lyrics and then a year later when you go to record it like writing new lyrics because it just I don't know I like the lyrics going being written at the same time as the song because they kind of like fit the vibe that you're feeling at that moment instead of like writing new lyrics to an old song which can be fine but it's I like the other way better for sure.
And there was another lyric that I was listening uh to the Dolphin as I was taking a shower, and then you know how like when you shower, when you take a bath, you kind of have these like long-winded thoughts about the randomest things. So
Yeah.
when I heard you say, I swear on the Bible, I just went in this like kind of a trip of like, yo, why do like when did it start to like uh profess or like convince someone your honesty but like with religion, when did those two like intersect, you know, because
Yeah.
it's always been like, oh, I swear to God, or I swear on the Bible, I swear on this.
Yeah, I actually that song that now that you bring it up, like I love that song's lyrics because it was like a most of those lyrics, or like at least half of them, I'm gonna say, they just like came out like stream of conscious when I wrote that song on a keyboard. And like I just like the lyrics just kind of like came out and I like was surprised at how much I liked them and they're kind of like a little bit all over the place, but I've always liked that song's lyrics for sure. Um, and yeah, I've never sworn on a Bible, but it'd be cool to do that at some point.
Hopefully not in court or something, but
No, maybe when yeah, well, in Canada, we don't do any Bible swearing. So I don't know. Maybe I'd have to become a US citizen.
and yeah, I was also, I thought of a silly thought too of like, would the same rule apply if you're like an atheist or like, you know,
Yeah, right. Maybe. I'm not sure actually. I think you can, but yeah, I do not know.
it's like, what are you gonna swear to? It's like, oh, I swear to
Like the phone
the
book.
absurdity of human
Yeah.
existence. That's
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you the song I was curious, is that I don't want to botch her name, but Yulia?
Yeah, that's it. You said it perfectly. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, so
Yulia's on the Yulia's got some great vocals on that album. Uh including the song I. Um yeah, actually we all did it. Like me, that there's kind of three singers in Nutrients. There's me, Yulia, and then Sean is on bass. And he used to be more of the like backup vocals, but then Yulia kind of is now. But Sean also is probably part of that. And
yeah.
we all laid it down. But I think we liked Yulia's the best, so we like brought that up in the mix. But there is probably still me and Sean's kicking around there somewhere with that falsetto I. That's a funny one. That's a good hook.
Yeah, and that's the next thing I was gonna say, that I love that song and that hook especially because it reminds me that you don't have to overthink or sing a bunch of words to have like a catchy hook on a song.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. It's just like one note and it's like the word I and it's like yeah, yeah. That song's fun. That song is cool. It has a key change at the end, which I think is it's probably the only Nutrient song with a full key change that I can think. Or yeah, it probably is actually. I would remember, I bet if it was there was one in another song.
That ranking list that I
Yeah,
mentioned last time. Uh, as I go down the list, just if you can share just a fun memory or like something like a fun
sure, yeah.
fact from the song. Number 10, I went with Cool Cat.
Okay. Yeah, Cool Cat's a great song. It has two versions actually, which is kind of interesting. And the second version has this like crazy funky breakdown, which I thought was really fun to record and work on. And Cool Cat, yeah, Cool Cat, like when we first wrote that song, I couldn't sing and play it at the same time. So I would always mess it up. So we stopped playing it live. But then like something clicked and I began to be able to play it and sing it at the same time. So, but we don't play that one anymore. But I like that song. It's funny.
And so you play guitar and sing that one?
Yeah, like I'd be on the chords, but I just couldn't get like the rhythm of the chords and sing, you know. Sometimes you just have like with singing and playing, you might know like you just have that like mental block. You can't do this one, even if it's like seemingly an easy song, sometimes you just can't get it. And so that one I was always just like playing it out of rhythm and messing everyone up, but yeah. I'm sure no one in the audience noticed.
I have that problem. The one song I can think of when I was trying to learn it, and I just gave up. And it's super easy. Like I can play it, but like you said, I can't play and sing it at the same time. Is Nirvana's "Come as You Are"? I
Okay,
just
interesting.
yeah, I can't sing the words as I'm doing that little riff. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but there it could be the easiest thing and like you it's random like that sometimes your brain just like can't do that connection, you know. Uh yeah.
number nine, this one has the word "come" in it too. Come along.
Okay, so yeah, Come Along is that new single. Um I wrote Come Along. There's a song called I don't even really know a lot about this artist, but they're called Chapter House, and they have this song called Mesmerize, and it's from like I think it's from like 1990, like early 90s, and I just like was obsessed with this song for like a summer, and I kind of tried to write my own. Sometimes I try to like write a song just like with one song as the inspiration and see what happens, and sometimes it sounds really similar to that song, and I'm like, I'm not that proud of that, and then this one was like it trying to write this like ode to that song, Chapter House Mesmerize. And it ended up really different, but I still liked it. And so I brought it to the band. And our guitar player Will, he loves like taking a song I write on guitar or piano and then building it out and like making it putting all these MIDI instruments on it. And so he brought it back and like added all these like weird little samples and like all this cool stuff. And ever since that like original MIDI demo, we were super into the song. And then as we were recording it, we like added that acoustic and like the drum samples and stuff. And yeah, I think we all really like that one. Um, uh, yeah,
That's awesome. I'm gonna check that song out, Mesmerize.
yeah, it's a good song. It's got the one thing it's like similar as Come Along is that it has like a piano, little like tiny piano-y sounding hook, like piano, you know, like the first setting of like a keyboard
Oh,
piano.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Um, number eight, I I mean I like all these songs a lot, but this one was one of the first ones that I really that I really dug in your discography is True Lust.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's a really early one. What could I say about that? We used to play that one. That was always a great live song. Uh, yeah, what can I say about that one? Yeah, like that one goes back to when I was telling you we wrote those songs in the park that one summer, and that was like a staple of that summer for sure. Um, and that one really reminds me of like the Montreal when I was in undergrad, the big like Mac DeMarco was huge in Montreal. Like he was playing shows like just before he was already big, but like just before he got like massive. And I remember like that song being a sort of like attempt at sounding like him, whether it was a success or not. And a lot of the other artists that were around, like the adjacent Mac DeMarco artists. Um, yeah, just like funky little. I love the lead. The lead on that song is really fun. The solo. There's a lot of guitar, good, like cool lead going on everywhere in that song.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's very guitar driven, and now that you mentioned Mac, I do kind of hear the similarities because a lot of his early stuff, or no, even now, it's very solo-y.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, his like that would have been based on his like I forget what it's called, but like the first Mac DeMarco album.
Rock and Roll
Um
Nightclub.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
At number seven, I went with House Fire Painting.
Oh, nice. That's a random one kind of. Um that song was sort of a last minute addition to that album, and we sort of we had never really played it live, so we just kind of recorded it. And then my standout thing on that song is our Colombian percussionist named Juan Carlos. Uh, he laid down like a bunch of percussion on that one, and we kept it all and just sort of like built it around that instead of the original like rock kit drums that were on it. And I think it turned out to be like a really interesting song like that.
Nice. Number six, I went with Window Seat.
Okay, Window Seat. Yeah, good one. That's a lot of people's like favorite Nutrient song, I would say. Or like one that stands out to people. I don't know how many people even have a favorite Nutrient song, but Window Seat, the guitar line, the lead is my favorite part. Like I love playing that live. The solo, we link up on the solo and do like a guitar mini thing. Uh, and I like the lyrics of that one. Because everyone always says like, who would ever want the middle seat? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's why it's the lyrics are funny.
Speaking on the riff, uh, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like math rock at all, but it sounds like math rockish to me.
Yeah, and I'm not a math fan, but the three, like Ben and Sean and Will, are all pretty big. Like our drummer is like in a math band, that level of fandom. So I think once the riff was written, which was written by me, it was kind of like they were like, "Oh yeah, this is a great song. We're doing some math stuff here." Not really. Like it's actually not mathy. It's just kind of like implies math rock in a weird way. But yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm curious now to hear your drummer's other project though, because I love math rock drums too.
Oh yeah, check it out. It's called Growing Fins. Like
Growing
like a
Thins?
fish. Fins. Fins. Fins.
Growing Fins.
Growing Fins. Yeah, anyone watching this, listen to Growing Fins. And Ben, our drummer, is also occasionally the singer and guitar player in that band too. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He's an amazing musician also. Our band is full of everyone in our band is a better musician than I am. I just happen to write the songs.
I mean, at least you're contributing all these ideas that later come into fruition with your buddies.
Totally.
Number five, went with So Long.
Okay, So Long. Yeah, that So Long is sometimes it feels like it's like the quintessential Nutrient song because it was the first song that we sort of adopted this like fun, funky vibe for. And I really like the lead riff is to me it's pretty classic. I wrote that song. I my friend lived in Hong Kong and I went to visit him and just like slept on the floor of his room for a while, for a few weeks. And I didn't like know a lot of people and he would go to work and stuff and I would just hang around and play my acoustic. And so I that's one of those songs where like I really remember like exactly where I was um when I wrote it, like really specifically like I remember the exact moment. And I just kind of was like, oh, those are cool chords. And then I just like kept on coming back to it. And those chords, I think I stole those chords from possibly from an Al Green song, if you know Al Green.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I might have directly just like lifted them from a section of his song, or I just like took them, they're all in a song, but like not played in that same order, something like that. I like to steal chords. It's one of my favorite songwriting techniques.
Same. What I like to do too is like I'll steal the chords but make it my own way by like playing it backwards or like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
just changing it, just changing the direction of it, but still like just snatching like the I guess the whole how the chords arrange itself.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just change the rhythm, like if you just use a different rhythm, like it can be immediately like a completely different song. And yeah, like you're not stealing the chords. You're just kind of like I learn new chords by learning a song that I like, and then I happen to use those chords in my own song. So it's not stealing.
Yeah, a friend of mine said it similar like that too, and I've always laughed at this. It's like no one owns the chords, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
um, and also I was gonna say, what drew me to listen to So Long, right off the bat is that's one of my favorite like goodbye phrases. Besides later, I was always saying like so long to people.
Yeah, nice. I think I tried to make that like a double meaning song where like, oh yeah, no, I could loathe you so long. And then it's also like goodbye.
Goodbye. Number four was Cool Cat 22.
Okay, so you're a Cool Cat fan. Yeah, Cool Cat 22. Like I said, this that second version has uh that like funky interlude thing, but all is pretty similar to the first one. We stole like there's this Japanese artist named Hiroshi Sato who uh he is amazing. He has a lot of great songs, but he has this he's from like the 70s, 80s, even I think he's part of like was in the 90s going still. And he did this thing in his career where he would make a song in like 1985 and then like redo it in like 1993 and like change it to be sounding like it was from 1993 instead of 19 like they would be like genre wise like it would be leaning into like those years that they came out, whether that's on purpose or not, I'm not sure. And we didn't really do that with that Cool Cat song because it's only like 4 years apart, but we just thought it was a funny idea to like re-record a song in a better way and like re-release it again. And it's kind of fun, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of fun, but I don't know if we'll do that again because it feels like you're like digging up the past and like trying. Like I said earlier, like you fix the mistakes that you feel like you made on the first one, but sometimes sometimes I feel like you should just like accept whatever the song was when you first wrote and recorded it because that was just like how you were feeling. It sounded good at that time. So yeah, it's kind of tough, but I do like that song.
I was gonna say, the way you were describing that Japanese artist uh, process, it sounds like he's sort of modernizing his stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then what I was gonna say about Cool Cat 22 is like it. I think of it like a sequel, just like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
two-parter.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think though, yeah, yeah, I forget.
Number three, I went with Such Slime.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Such Slime. Um, yeah, it's would be in my top three favorite Nutrient songs. It's just got a cool vibe. The sax is like probably my favorite saxophone that's in Nutrients, like in that song specifically. And um I always think of the video with this song. I was talking about the video of that song last time we talked, and it's just classic to me. Um, the sax solo at the end, I always find super fun. Like when we play it live, sometimes we have sax, and when we do, it's really fun. Sometimes we just replace that sax solo with like a guitar solo, which is still fun. In the video, my girlfriend is at the end playing sax briefly. She helped us with that video, so we stuck her in there. What else? That song, yeah, I just love that song. The break, like the when it slows down and goes into the bridge, it's like one of the most interesting nutrients parts, probably to me. And I think we managed to like create this like really cool bridge, but not like drag you so far out of the like song in terms of like it's not that distracting of a change. And then the way it comes back in, it's like dun, 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 dun. I thought was a really good move. I forget who made that up, but I don't think that would have been me because it's like very rhythmically interesting, and I'm usually not writing parts like that. But shout out to whoever wrote that in our band if they watch this.
I'm a sucker for beat changes, so the way you guys incorporated that, yeah, it's just it was one and done for me.
Yeah, nice.
Number two, I know we talked about it a little bit a few moments ago, but went with I.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I love the like the hook is hilarious. It's like fun. Like sometimes like I think like if you're like laughing when you're writing a song, it's like a good thing usually. That song is just like funny to me. The hook is funny. The guitar solo is probably my favorite solo, guitar solo that is. One of them. Yeah, the key change. It's got a lot going on. Um, yeah, I just that one's yeah, that one's it's one of my favorites too, I think. It's a good call.
And what I like about it, it's one of those songs that just reminds me of the excitement of a new developing crush.
Yeah,
And I
okay,
think
yeah, that's like the lyrical vibe for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, 100%. Sometimes I even write a song like I don't even know if it's not about anyone specifically. Sometimes I try to write a song like in the mindset of like somebody who is like in love. Like it's like it's not that I've never been in love or something, but like I just like that song specifically, it sounds really like it's about someone specific, but it's actually just me trying to be like a songwriter and like write lyrics like I know lyrics are, like if that makes sense. I don't know. But I like how, yeah, I like the like uh what is the lyric? I like the sound of your voice. Oh, I like the sound of your voice when you remember my name. And like my name is always the same or something. I forget.
wow, so yeah, that's interesting then, because so you're writing these lyrics from a perspective of someone that's like lovey-dovey, but it's is it intentional? Is it like you kind of as you're playing guitar, you're like, oh, I feel like writing about kind of like a love pop song.
Yeah, I think like yeah, it's a good question. Like I don't know why I do that, but like it's very easy to write about relationships, I feel like, just because like you were always saying I and you, and I would have to think deeper about that, like why I do that. But it's also just like the tradition of pop songs is usually like it's about relationships. So it's really easy to write about relationships because I've heard so many songs about dating and relationships. And sometimes the lyrics are meaningful to me, but like that one in particular, it might have started with like some thought or memory about some kind of relationship or something, but it starts to evolve into like this sort of like, oh, like what if I was like had a crush on someone that couldn't remember my name? Like what else might happen, you know? And then you kind of start building on it and um yeah, like it's not all based on like some specific memory. It's just like sort of like a fantasy of like what how else you would feel. Like I think probably the first lyric was like I like the sound of your voice when you remember my name. And then you're like building on that main theme or motif and you're like trying to fill out the rest of the lyrics to kind of go with that. I really like if a song's lyrics are like every lyric is on the same theme kind of. Not that all my songs are like that because it's really hard, but like I've always liked songs where like every lyric is about like every lyric is connected into that same theme.
Also, something I wanted to say is I like how you also add uncertainty to it with the whole will you remember my name part, you
Yeah, I
know?
love that at the end. Yeah, that's in the key
It's
change part.
it sounds like it sounds like this song is for like a girl with amnesia or something.
I don't know. Maybe you just met them a couple times and you don't know if they're going to remember you. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. That too. And then number one, uh yeah, I went with Suede.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, Suede's, I love Suede. We still play Suede a lot live, especially with the sax player. Um, yeah, Suede. I play the lead, so that's like one that I really had to struggle to learn how to play the lead and to sing at the same time. That's like one thing that first comes to mind. I really like how it has all these different little fun like parts, little Easter eggs. I love the end. Like if there's one song where like I think we really nailed the end, it's that one. Like the last like 20 to 30 seconds has this like sax going, it has a guitar solo. Um yeah, I like that one too. That's Suede, Such Slime, and Hyperbole were all songs that were written as we were recording that self-titled album. And those are probably like my top three songs of that album. And they're all the last songs that were written, is what I mean for that album. Um, and I think we took advantage of like the studio. That was the first time we went to a studio, and we took advantage of the studio best for those three songs. And Suede is a great example of that, I would say. Um, but yeah, I like that song too a lot.
To kind of piggyback on what you were saying about the last 20 30 seconds, I was listening to it on my earphones, and I just love how it's mixed too, how like um all the instruments can stand out so
Yeah,
neatly, and I can just hear them all clashing together just perfectly. And
yeah,
yeah, that's why it's my top one. That sax, man.
yeah. The sax on that one's really good. We've played with a lot of sax players, and that sax is played by our friend Naomi, and she came into the studio that it was like an hour of playing, similar to what I was talking about with this guy Juan Carlos who played the Latin percussion on different bridges. She came in, played like some of it was pre-written, like some of it was guitar parts that she was just mirroring, and then we would ditch the guitar part and that sax would remain. But a lot of it was just like on the spot, laid it down, sounds so good. And yeah, I love the sax on that album. It sounds awesome.
I'll just end it with like a silly thing. Suede got me swayed.
Yeah, that's another one that has a bunch of maybe a triple entendre of suede. No, wait, suede. No, just two. Double entendre, not triple. Swaying and then suede. Yeah. And then you could be swayed by someone's argument, but I don't know if that's in that song. Maybe it is. I forget.
All right, Taylor. Well, man, thank you so much again for, doing both of these.
Oh,
And
no problem. It's really fun to chat. Yeah, it's great. It's a fun way to like sort of reflect on like different specifically like usually when I talk to people about nutrients, like we don't really get into like specific songs as much, which is really fun.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Any parting things you like to share or say?
Yeah, like if you're into nutrients, we're releasing we got an album ready to come out and I think it's gonna be a good one. Hope so. We'll do another one of these in a couple years and we can talk about the album that's about to come out.
Heck yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to those new tunes.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'll keep in touch, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, nice chatting, nice meeting you, and yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Sweet. Take care, man.
All right, take care.